What's up, everyone? This is Super Mike. I'm out here. I do want to get into this subject because I've kind of been a little triggered, I guess, because it's not that triggered, but I think every generation we have to really dig down deep into this same subject, which is the black identity. Okay, what it is and what it is not, because our black identity is always under attack. Some people are well-meaning because every generation they go down and they dig into the history, which is what they're supposed to do, and then they analyze and they find things. Okay, every generation does this, and they're supposed to do that. They're supposed to analyze. Sometimes they may see something that the previous generation didn't see, and they'll bring out some information, and then they'll start educating people because that's just people just have that in our lineage. That's just in our genetics. We have certain people who are teachers, educators. That's just they can't help themselves. The problem is, and they're very passionate about what they find. When somebody's passionate about something, uh, sometimes you can't tell them anything. You can tell them stuff, but you can't really. They're gonna have to find it out themselves, which sometimes takes a long time. But the black identity, and just to make a long story short, real quick, and I'm gonna explain this, but make a long story short, if your research, this is what the Moors figured out after 100 years, but they still didn't figure it out. Some of them. This is what a lot of people are figuring out. If your research leads you to determine that you had to attack black, if you have to attack black in order for you to get your knowledge out there, uh, there's people like, and I don't like mentioning names, but I mean, I'll just mention the communities because this is not new. Uh, People who are researching the legitimate research of our connections to tribal America, to indigenous ancestry, especially in America. But of course, everywhere on earth, there's someone, you're indigenous somewhere, okay? So, but most of this is coming from the American side because we have the same history. Okay, we're connected by a history. Okay, this is what makes us a unique group of people. And so the thing is, what it is we're always searching. So it's so interesting to me because it doesn't matter what people call themselves. We're doing the same thing. We're literally doing the same thing, and that's part of our culture, which is to research details, history, to verify. We're questioning, we're asking a lot of questions, we're debating, we're arguing. This is all good. But what people need to understand is I'll mention some big names because I'm sure because I'm not trying to make it personal, but like somebody like a Dane Calloway, which is a great brother, great research. He's made a lot of inroads, but for some reason they think that calling yourself black, we got to stop doing that. Same thing Noble Drew Ali did 100 years ago. Same thing the Moors do. Some of the Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters do this. This is your fatal mistake. Okay, you can speak all and legitimize every piece of knowledge, but you have to stand on the platform, the original people. We are the black people. We are a black people. What that means. Now, when people pull up, the definitions of white folks, I can understand that. And let me switch to this so that I can show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I want to switch to this because this is I had a little exchange, and sometimes I have a little exchange with a sister. She's an indigenous sister, and she goes and she educates people on their ancestry. She's very thorough. She's very passionate about what she believes in. She's a young sister. Doesn't mean she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just young. As you are young, studying something in about 10 years, you got to understand you're going to learn more stuff. As she does update herself, she does adjust herself. You got to realize when you cannot be, a little arrogant. And when I say arrogant, it's not an insult. I'm saying the knowledge that I used to be the same thing a little bit when I learned a little something. I would go to downtown in Detroit and different places. We go debate people. We would be debating people. So that's part of it. But what I just want to make sure people understand is that, there's a deeper information than what you have. And you're going to run into it. But you can't take stuff that you're literally founded on. So you're undermining the work of your previous generations. And if your previous generations got something incorrect, you do have the right, as a part of that lineage, you do have the right to update and correct. Okay, but when you do that, number one, it should be done with respect, because you got to realize if you want people to listen to you and to build upon what you are building and update and to respect your work, then you need to do the same for the previous generations. So I'm saying she makes this statement that she's been studying this information for 10 years. Okay. So I make the statement, hey, we have people who have been on this for over 100 years. So it's always good to have detail, which she brings detail, because black folks, we knew that. One of the things is that she does get right. Our grandparents, our ancestors, they told us straight up that, this person is Native American, this person is Native tribe. And there was a section in the a period of time where they wanted to convince us that all of our grandparents lied to us, because they wanted to make us believe that their native classification of these 5 civilized tribes, the DNA, as if it's, irrefutable. They wanted to make us believe that the DNA from these 5 civilized tribes is the only thing that classifies as native to this land or indigenous to this land, which is absolutely untrue. There's many, we don't have to go through just a couple of questions here that would get you. First off, to make sure, you would have to get a sample of a known source to verify the bloodline. And we know for a fact that many hundreds and I think thousands of tribes indigenous to the land prior to Columbus were wiped out. We know for a fact, history tells us, it's recorded, that Columbus and many of the European people, they made the indigenous people, they enslaved them. They mixed us with other groups. They mixed our bloodlines. We know this for a fact, okay? So she is correct that, we do have indigenous lineage, and it is good to go into your history, your family history, go into the records, looking into the records. This is excellent to do. But if you feel that you have to attack blackness in order to do that, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You do not have to undermine the work of a previous generation because of this stuff that you learned here that we already knew. You got to realize that people went from indigenous, knowing that they were indigenous, knowing that they were Choctaw, Mississippi, Cherokee, which I have family in, direct great grandmothers, and knowing who they were, but they chose, our people chose black. Okay, black was not forced. Okay, now the interpretation of black, the definition of black, is forced on our people. Okay, the definition of the colonizers' definition of what black is forced on our people. But these people did not originate the concept of black. Okay, and people, not just in America, because first off, we're speaking things called English. Okay, English is a Germanic language. Okay, the records of this language go way past. The records of this language go way past even America, or even 500 years, or even 1,000 years. Okay, so this is a Germanic language. So this is a Germanic language. And let's see if I can increase this here. So this comes from this Indo-European, Indo-Iranian, which is Aryan. Iran means Aryan. Okay, over there in Iran, this is from Babylon. This is where the English language is a branch on this tree. Okay, this one's split off from the whites who went to Europe, and then it's a part of the main branch of it stayed in what's called the area of like Iran, the Persian Gulf, Zoroastrianism, the Persians, that kind of thing, Russians. Okay, so this is, and you can go into that, the Punjabis, Bengal, all these type of things. But the part that we're speaking European, Celtic, Albanian, Germanic. Okay, the Romance languages, Rome. Okay, so when we're talking about, we need to know this because we're dealing with definitions. So one comment that the sister made to me, she said that, she says that black is a misnomer. Okay, but if you qualify that, that's fine. African American is a misnomer because how many definitions can you use African? How many definitions can the word African hold, or Africa? First off, I've asked people many times whose language is that word Africa? Where does that come from? Is that an indigenous language to the African continent? Okay, and I have not got that answer. I was looking for it, but the thing is, Africa, according to what we're using it now, I don't know what the etymological. I don't know where it stems from. Okay, well, whose language is it? Where are those people? Okay, so that language, Africa, was put on a continent after a series of war called the Punic Wars, which were held 2,000 years ago. Okay, this wars were held 2,000 years ago between the Mediterranean, which is Rome, and Carthage, which is the North Africa. These were black people. The original people are black. That's what black means to us. Okay, now these people have a definition from the Germanic branch. They got a definition, and these definitions have changed over the thousands of years, because they got this language over 4,000 years ago, and then it changed up, based on whatever. And in English, people pull up when they talk about black, they talk about the negative. They talk about, it's a misnomer, is this and that, it's a color, yada yada. Okay, you got to realize that if you're talking about your indigenous ancestry, we just received and were forced to speak this entire language. So if you're talking about decolonizing your mind, okay, we have to learn our indigenous language. We got to learn our original languages. And if we don't know and we can't do our original languages, then we cannot be what we were prior to colonization here. We have to decolonize ourselves with something new. We have to start as a group of now. That's what you got to do. But you're going to have your connections, but that doesn't make you what you were prior to the colonization, because those tribes don't even exist anymore. Those nations don't exist. The culture of those nations don't exist. Okay? And even if they do exist, those folks they have their land, they're somewhere, but they're not you. Okay? They're not us in this way, in the way that we were. They're us genetically, but they're not us in every aspect of what, that we're not a continuous line, but we are a continuous line of original people. Okay, we do have that. So my point to people like that is, yes, you do find and you put together the pieces that were broken up by the enemy. But you got to realize that we have formed something new. We have formed something absolutely new, and it is legitimate. Our definition of black does not stem from the English language. I know y'all would think that just because we speak English that we didn't, but if you look into what our community leaders and our great elders were saying when they established the term of black as a good term for us, as a good identity for us. Doesn't mean that's the only, because I do like foundational Black American. I do like that. The reason why I like it is because we came up with that and we define it. I like it because when we come up with something, then it's legitimate. If we name ourselves, we don't let other people define what we, the terminology. They can, white people love to redefine what we say. They have this term called woke. We defined it as one way, and then white people come and change it up and want to define it a different way. Doesn't mean we stop using our word. Doesn't mean it stops meaning what we want it to mean. Okay? This is and Sister does talk about alchemy. This is what we're dealing with. This is what the war is. You can't let that get into your mind, because that's what they're doing. They're going to redefine and try to redefine the essence of what you are. That's the reason why we always have to keep establishing what black is. And this is the reason why it works. And this is the reason why when you start attacking what black is, no matter what your research is telling you, you got to dig deeper. So keep in mind, I want to show y'all something here. In the European language, we know black means negative stuffs, right? But right here, this language stems from Indo-European, which is really the Iranian. This is the Indians, East Indians. These people, let me show you this here. So the Indo-Aryan languages, you see, it's coming from India. This part here, which is the Asiatic continent, okay? This is where a lot of this is coming from. And it does connect to Russia and all of these other places here, okay? But the point is, this is where the source of the language of English that we get comes from. Okay, we know that these people here are not white skin looking people, even though they do have a Aryan ideology, a lot of them, because they have the caste system here. They have a lot of what the precursors of what we call racism, things like that. Okay, caste. So it's interesting. So listen to this. So we know that Hinduism is their language. Is their religion. A lot of those folks' religion over there. Okay, and it's pretty old. They have the Veda scriptures for them. They have I can't pronounce it, the Bhagavad Gita. I know in Iran they had Zoroastrianism. okay, which is anti-black. Zoroastrianism is anti-black, dark. There's anti-black, okay. Uh, but in Indo-Aryan languages, the term Krishna, okay, I don't know if you ever heard Hare Krishna. Krishna in Sanskrit, Romanized, which is they turned it from to the way it sounds in Rome, Romantic languages, translates to black, dark, or dark blue. I mean, this is straight Google. Okay, is it bad? It is the name of a major Hindu deity, often depicted with a dark complexion, and also carries the meaning the all attractive, according to National Museums Scotland. Now this is the white land of Scotland, is in Whitey. The term is also associated with the waning moon, okay, known as Krishna Paksha, which signifies the darkening phase according to Wikipedia, okay? And we know whatever the source is. I'm sure this is much deeper than this, but I'm just giving you guys something, okay? The name Krishna is derived from the Sanskrit word Krishna, which is a common adjective meaning black or dark, okay? So I need y'all to understand that black was not always evil, okay? We're dealing with a language, and this is coming, this anti-black sentiment from this language is actually coming from this ancient history here, okay, from wars that they had like 3,800 years ago, okay? So there was a group that was pro-black way back then, and there was a group anti-black. So the anti-black people are the ones that went around the world subjugating, killing, destroying, raping, murdering darker people than them, and spreading this anti-black ideology, okay? This is coming from these ancient wars, these Aryan wars. That's why they call themselves the Aryan nation. So like I'm saying to you, when you need to understand something here. Pro-black is anti this, okay? It undermines, this is the reason why they're going to attack. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. You can't get out of it. They looking at you and they can tell, oh, you're black. We gotta dominate. We gotta rule. You're dark. Okay, Krishna. This is where this stuff is coming from. So when I'm coming back to the sister, now I know all she thinking about, all Dane Calloway is thinking about probably is this the stuff that's here, which is, I understand that, but you don't understand that we are a global people. Now, as a black people, we are global, okay, when I say that. But we are a specific community in America, okay? We are a specific community because we have a unique history which binds us. So, and like I said, some of this is going to go out over some people's heads, whatever. But the point is, we have to push back on you when you start talking negative about black, because black it's got to be beautiful for us, because our people, this not only the skin tone, but really our parents, our family members, where we come from, we are a black people, okay? Doesn't mean it's not a color. It's not necessarily only a color. So as I started earlier, she said black is a misnomer. If we called everybody by their actual color, that you wouldn't have a group, okay? It's not about the color, but you got to realize, you got to recognize the environment that you're in. We're in an environment where the dominant group of people have what's called a anti-black agenda. They have to keep the black peoples in subjugation. So if you're going to identify yourself as not black, you can do that, but number one, you're going to isolate yourself from the black group, which is going to put you in weakness. Now, I'm going to show you that compared to the Haitians real quick. Let me show you this. So we have a lot of Haitians here, and a lot of them are experiencing a lot of problems with deportation and all these sorts of things, because there's a lot of people that spend time. They're black people. Haitians are black, but they have all of these questions and debates about what black is and all these different things. So what happens is they end up isolating themselves. I'm not black, I'm Haitian. You see this a lot. I'm not black, I'm Haitian. Glad I'm Haitian. I'm not black, I'm Haitian. It's a lot. So they don't want to identify when it's time to take care of business, but when it's time to get some benefits, they're going to identify as black. Now, this happened, this literally also happened with the native indigenous family, our very own direct ancestors right here in America, because when these towns and these villages and these communities were getting raided and enslaved by the white supremacists, okay, people did identify as black, even way back then. I remember, you can read this with Bass Reeves. I got a book on Bass Reeves, and it's shown in some of that as well. Now, when times are good and nobody's persecuting everybody, then everybody can bring out their indigenous tribal label because you're protected. You're in a civilized environment. But when they were under persecution, the people in Tulsa, they were indigenous, but they identified as black people because they had to come together. They had to be accepted. We had to be accepted as a group. We couldn't be talking about Cherokees and Chickasaws and all the different stuff and beefing over that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt you to keep your tribal lineage and heritage. But guess what? When we were all black, this is how we survived. This is how we got to this point. And say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Our people chanted that. Okay? Black is beautiful. Our people created those memes. We were not forced to be black, but black did not mean what the white man said it meant. It meant original. And let me show you why. The Nation of Islam came out and taught us. Now keep in mind, this is the teachings of Master Farad Muhammad, who has a black father who is from Arabia, a black Arabian father, and a white mother who is from Iran or Azerbaijan. Okay, this man brought these lessons to us in Black Bottom, Detroit in 1930 and was teaching our people. Okay, these are the teachings that he taught our people, over 25,000 in Detroit, over 20,000 in Chicago, and other people that we don't know, but that his chief student was Elijah Muhammad. And Elijah Muhammad kept teaching, and a lot of our people accepted this. And it says, who is the original man? Okay? The original... No, I don't have the thing. But let me tell you the answer. The original man is the Asiatic black man. And we were also taught that Asia was the name of our planet a long time ago. Okay? Now, you can accept or reject that. That's your choice. But what I'm telling you is that that's black. See, because what a lot of y'all don't understand is that even the all your definitions of these words, of your origin stories, all of these things, they come from a religious or uh, some sort of spiritual source that you don't even like, that you don't even believe in. Just like white, just like I showed you Krishna, that came from a religious source. Okay, all of your origin stories are going to be your spiritual sentiment. They're all going to come from something like that. So I'm telling you that this is where our definition, this is the foundation of black. Okay, we take our stuff from stars, we take our stuff from nature. This is the source. So we take our information from source of nature, because this is the basis of our entire life. Okay, so this is how we do our definitions in the original people's systems. You know, the white man just makes shit up. Okay, based, and he can just change it when they feel like it. The foundation of our knowledge is in nature, okay, which is the foundation of the creator. Okay, so when we saying black, it's not a color, it's the source. It is the original. That's why it's called, that's why we're saying that the original people are the Asiatic black people, because we are the original type of human, and all other peoples come out of us. Okay, the same thing as nature. And like I said, you guys can accept or reject that, but the point is, that's where we're getting it from. This is what we're thinking. Okay, now you can come up with what you're thinking, and that's fine. You can show me the papers of white people. You can show me some documents in the Constitution and 3/5 of a human being. You can show us null and void, all of these weird things that white people come up with to document and codify their hatred towards the darkness or the black, okay, which you have accepted. But when you're talking about decolonizing your mind, yeah, this is it. This is the furthest you're going to decolonize yourself. You're not going to accept the definition of an enemy. Okay, we're going to use the word black. It is an English word, but it's a cognate word. Like I said, Krishna means black. There's many language that we have that means black. I was researching that the word Lumbee, which is a tribe of black people, it means black river, and also wood or something like that. But the point is, the Lumbee, that means black. We have the Blackfoot natives, you know. So the point is, you can't be anti-black with just because you're indigenous. Indigo is dark. That's Indian. First off, I don't believe in calling ourselves Indian unless you can show me that the people in this land named themselves Indian and were calling themselves Indian before Columbus. I don't believe in Indian either, because you're taking another, that's just like the same thing as African, calling yourself as African, which even if there was an indigenous tribe that formed that language of African, which we do have blood from Africa, of course. But the point is, even if there was an indigenous African tribe that formed that language, the whole continent was called that as a result of wars, which white people dominated eventually, and they hid the history. And we know this because they lied on the Carthaginians. They lied, and Rome was especially good at that. You know, so this is just some thoughts that I wanted to put in people's mind, and this definitely goes out to the people who always want to argue about black. Black is something we can hold strong to. We have a strong hold to it. It can't be redefined. We have to defend it. We have to defend it, because if we start letting these people have their way with black and let you guys try to redefine black as something negative, okay, then we're we're literally just pulling the wool right from under our feet, uh, and we have to redo the last 100 years of work. Okay, that y'all don't appreciate. Okay, so anyway, let me know your thoughts. Peace.